about that. Before I get my first guest on, you might be familiar with him. His name is Ernest Ramirez. I'm just going to play 2 minutes of a video of his, just to give you a bit of an intro to who he is and what's happened in his life. So here's the video.
An investigation needs to be done here. The Highwire is a part of that, and other great groups out there are investigating it. We shouldn't be attacked. We should be celebrated. We should realize that there are real, true stories, real pain that is out there, like that suffered by Ernesto Ramirez, a father that just tried to do what was right.
I'm the father of Ernesto Ramirez Jr. He was a wonderful kid. Since day one, I was a single parent, and I raised him, fed him, diapers. I did everything for him. It was my job to protect my son. My son received the vaccine, and he died a few days later. The only explanation that was given to me was an enlarged heart.
The world not to trust their own eyes.
My government lied to me. They said it was safe.
People were wrong. They're keeping the truth for their power again.
I sent his autopsy, which took me 3 weeks to get, to a specialist, and he said my son's heart was over double the normal size, and they had chemicals from the vaccine surrounding it, which caused his death.
All the lies you've been fed. Some of you just go along.
They need to quit pushing this on their children. I lost mine. Y'all need to protect yours. I hold this rose in remembrance of my baby boy and the many others who have lost their lives, including those who have taken their...
That's an introduction to Ernest. He's not actually arrived in the studio yet. We did have him here earlier, but he's not actually come in yet, so I just need to chase him. He might have some technical issues the other end there. Maybe we can just play a bit more of that video until he gets here, or maybe we can play the song. He actually partnered up with Brad from 5 Times August, and they've been doing a lot of work together, and they're actually close friends now. So we could play the song that I was going to play after the interview. We could play that now until Ernest gets here. So this is a 5 Times August song called Fight.
Through the madness and the lies, as they're holding back the truth, no matter what they try, I will always fight for you. I will save your innocence. They are trying to remove. I am here at your defense, and I will always fight for you. Yes, I will always fight for you. I will stand here in the way, and I will not give up on you. I will shield you from the pain. In the battle on the field, there is evil on the move, but I hope that you can feel that I will always fight for you. In the darkness of the times, there's a light that shines the proof. It'll soon reveal the crime, so I won't stop this fight for you. Yes, I will always fight for you. I will brave every attack. and I will not give up on you. I will always have your back. So to every single mother, father, stand up for your sons and daughters. Do not back down, don't let up. You are all they have for armor, so make this a war to win. Look in their eyes and tell them that I will always fight for you. I will stand guard at the gate, and I will not give up on you. I will stop each shot they take. I will always fight for you. I will always fight for you.
Welcome, Ernest, to the show.
Hello, man.
I could see that song was getting me as well, actually. So all the way from South Texas, thank you very much for coming on. I think a lot of our audience will be familiar with you and your story, but for those who aren't, I think it's good for people to know that, you know, it's not just happening this side of the world, it's happening all over, vaccine death, vaccine injury, and you've been very, very outspoken about it since the death of your son, Ernesto Jr. Before we get into the fight that you're fighting, talking about that, can you tell us a bit about Ernesto, from when he was born and your relationship with him, and what kind of boy he was?
Well, my son, the day he was born, he was given to me, and he was handed to me. I was told, here, he's yours, you take care of him. And like I said, he was the best gift anyone could ever give me. It was a blessing. I've always said children are a blessing from God. And so I just took it from there. Everywhere I went, you know, we were never apart. You would see me, I'd go visit family, which is 6 hours away. There I go with my diaper bag and car seat. You know, he was always with me. You know, he was a wonderful child. When he was old enough, I'd get up in the morning and they already knew him at the corner store here, where I'd pick him up a taco and a juice and take him to daycare before I went to work. And they already knew him. They had his stuff ready. And even at school, you know, it was real popular all through elementary, middle school, and high school. At the age of 7, he wanted to play baseball when, you know, because I bought a couple of gloves, you know, I wanted to teach my boy how to play catch. And that same day he wanted to join baseball. So we did. And I ended up coaching Little League for about 7 years, and all the way till he got to high school. And, you know, he was a wonderful baseball player. He wanted to go pro. And he also wanted, because I told him he needed to get an education, he had to go to college. And he told me, Dad, I want to join the Air Force. I said, well, whatever you want to do, I'm here to back you up. So, like I said, I'd get up every morning, give him a hug and a kiss, and just so he would know that his father loved him. Because, like, I've always said that, told people that I never knew my father, and I didn't want my son to know what that was like.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite unusual. I mean, you're exceptionally close, as single parents always are with their children, because you're like mother and father to them, really, aren't you? So, did he have no contact with his mother during his life?
Once in a while, she'd come by to visit him, but not like she should have. I mean, I see her more now at the cemetery, and like I said, I don't want to talk bad. That's why I never really mentioned her. But like I said, she should have came to visit him when he was alive. Not
yeah. She must be very regretful, I'd imagine, now. But you know,
yes,
it's really, really sad. So, so can you tell us about the story of what happened after he had the vaccine. Before that, can you just say, when we entered this COVID scamdemic 4 years ago,
Yeah,
what were your initial feelings about it? Were you worried by it? Were you scared?
yeah, I was scared for my child because, naturally, we stayed locked up. I wouldn't let him out. Well, he knew what was going on, so he wouldn't really bother me either. And if we did go out, we did what we were told. The lies they told us: wear a mask, sanitizer, and now that we know it didn't work, it served no purpose. And all they kept showing was people catching COVID, being admitted to the hospital, put on ventilators, and dying. Here, they didn't show anybody coming out that caught COVID, so I was scared. And naturally, I went to take the first. I ended up taking Moderna, and I didn't get any immediate reactions. So Pfizer kept announcing it. They kept showing people on ventilators dying. Pfizer kept saying how it was safe and effective for teenagers. And, I told him, look, I said, they said it's safe for teenagers. And he goes, yeah, Dad, let's go. Real quick. He wanted to go because he was waiting to get back into school to play baseball again, that sport he loved so much. He would run 2 laps in our whole subdivision every day just to keep in shape. And so we went and took it. And he, 5 days later, my neighbor asked if she could take her Junior and her son to eat and play basketball at the park. Her son was Junior's best friend since they were 2 when Junior was either here with his friend or they were right next door at his house. They were never apart. They were best friends. So she took him out to dinner. She said they played video games. Then she took him to the park. They got off the truck and that they were running across the parking lot and he collapsed. And it just happened that a police officer was there. It started CPR. She called me screaming, hysterical, something was wrong with Junior. And naturally, I wouldn't believe it because, not my son. I raised a good man. I take him to church. Every Sunday, I would always tell him we have to be grateful for our blessings. And like I said, I raced over there. I always taught him how to love God, country, and family. So this couldn't be real. I chased the ambulance to the hospital because they wouldn't let me ride with him. I kept screaming his name, hoping he would get up. I got to the hospital. They kept working on him. I could see him through the door. And the doctor walked out like it meant nothing to him. He just came out right in front of me and told me, your son's dead. You can go home now. And naturally, I lost it. I grabbed the doctor, threw him against the wall. And I couldn't believe it. I ended up having to come home, which I didn't want to do because, it's an empty house. It's no longer a home. So naturally, I got mad. I cursed God out loud. People that were calling me and trying to pray, I cursed them out. And I cursed them to the God they prayed to, because how could he do this to me? I was trying to raise a good man. And I was on the verge of suicide. I always taught my son gun safety. He was a marksman. I bought his very first rifle when he was 10. And anyway, like I said, I have a house full of guns, because he would ask me too, why do we need so many guns? I said, to protect ourselves. I said, because this world's going to go to hell. And we need to be able to hunt to feed ourselves and maybe even, stand up and protect our own country. We never know. So I thought I might as well just end it here because I have nothing else to live for. But then in the back of my mind, something told me I couldn't do that because that'd be a sin and I wouldn't see my son again. So I made my peace with God because I realized I had some faith still. And no matter what I was going through, I had faith. So I changed it, turned it around, and decided I need to fight for his honor. And I was invited to speak at different locations because Dr. Peter McCullough was the first one that reviewed his autopsy. And he's the one that let me know it was a vaccine that killed him. I didn't know that. I didn't realize.
I was going to ask you, you know, at what point did you discover? So it was, how long after was it that you spoke to Dr. Peter McCullough?
It was I had that reporter, Dr. Ivory Hecker from an ex-Fox News reporter. She heard about what happened. She came down and interviewed me, and she did a wonderful job because she didn't just interview me. She did her research. She investigated the hospital, the coroner, the doctor in charge of the hospitals. She's the one that let me know with all the information she got, and she sent the autopsy to Dr. Peter McCullough. And that's how I found out what it was. And to be honest, I thought it was just me and Junior that were affected. I didn't know anybody else was affected by this. And then she asked me what my plans were. Now I said, I don't know. You know, I said, I've tried calling Governor Abbott, and he never responded. They always passed me to an answering machine and leave a message. And I just told her, something tells me I need to go to DC. I need some answers. And she helped me. She told me to do a fundraiser, and I did that GoFundMe. And people started donating to help me. And next thing I know, I was deplatformed because they said I went against all the rules and regulations. So she got me to start a life funder. And right off the bat, a doctor and his wife donated $1,000 for my trip. Mm-hmm. And it, you know, brought me to tears. And then the following morning, she calls me. She goes, Ernest, what do you think about the fundraiser? And I told her about the doctor. I said, yeah, he touched my heart. She goes, no, you don't understand. You've raised over $10,000 for your trip, just in less than 24 hours.
Amazing.
And I did break down because I couldn't believe so many people were so willing to help me.
Yeah. So
me and a friend of mine drove our motorcycles to DC. Just before that, Senator Ron Johnson heard about it, and he contacted me. And he asked if he could meet me there. I said, of course, anybody. You know, I was reaching out to anyone.
Yeah.
And he asked me, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to knock on the gate, see if Biden answers. I don't know. I need some answers. So when I got there, that's when I was down in the lobby, me and my buddy. We're drinking coffee, and some little skinny lady comes walking up to me with a smile and tells me, Mr. Ramirez, why don't you come over here? You're part of the family. And I didn't know who it was. It happened to be Mr. Brian Dressing with React 19. And then that's why I met little Maddie DeGarry and Steph, her mom Steph, Dr. Joe Walskog, and several others. And then I realized it wasn't just me and my son. There's a whole bunch of people affected.
And you say in your interview with Del Bigtree that you found a new family. And as she said, you're part of that family now.
Yes.
And you've obviously forged some very close friendships, especially with Brad from 5 Times August.
Yes,
yeah. So how did you get to meet him, and what have you been working on together?
Well, Brad, I didn't know who he was or what he was about. The first time I spoke out here in Austin, the Texas capital in Austin, Texas. And he happened to be singing there. So he's the one that reminded me on Del Bigtree's show. That's what the first time he heard Junior's story, and that's where he decided he needed to fight a little harder. He's a dear friend. I mean, it took us about maybe a year or more to actually meet face to face and talk. We've been at events together, but it's been so busy we never crossed paths. We're in Austin at a premiere, I believe, and I was standing outside the front of the hotel, and he just happened to be walking by, and I turned, I recognized him, he recognized me, and everything just stopped right there. We just ran and ended up hugging each other, and we became real good friends. He's a wonderful man.
He is.
Yeah.
He's. I had him on the show. We chatted
Yeah.
for an hour. He's absolutely lovely. Of course, your story will resonate with him because his son, I think, was vaccine damaged as
Yes,
a baby, wasn't he? Yeah. So he would definitely feel part of your pain anyway. How obviously it's not something you can ever come to terms with, but how are you coping on a daily basis? I mean, how do you survive something like that?
I don't. I mean, I no longer have a life. I go to work. To be honest, I only sleep maybe 3-4 hours a night because I can't sleep. But I'm always tired. I go to work to try to do something, even though I don't even feel safe there because my mind is not where it's supposed to be. And like I said, I come home and I'm locked up here. I don't go anywhere. I don't go out. I don't. And I've mentioned it several times. It's like, I don't know if you've seen that movie, The Matrix. That's what it feels like. I'm just living.
Yeah.
The world passing right by me, and nobody sees me. And I no longer have friends for fear of the government. They have walked away from me.
Really?
Like I said, the only thing I do, I have some dear friends in local chat group. They're actually streaming this right now. The True Seekers Tavern on Clubhouse. A lot of wonderful people, some vaccine injured, some doctors, and I gather with them just about every day. So that's my outlet right there. I have a community that I can connect with, and they help me out a lot. They support me, and on my lowest days when I feel like I'm just falling, I can go in there and listen to them, talk with them, and they lift me back up. As my vaccine injured people do too. They lift my spirit. They're the ones that actually keep me going when I don't feel I have anything left.
On the day that Ernesto Jr. died, what did you think he died of?
I didn't know. I didn't really understand what happened. And a couple of days later, the doctor didn't even tell me anything that day. They didn't mention anything. They just told me he was dead. And I actually left my motorcycle over there. I walked back to the house, which is about a mile or so away. And a few days later, 2 detectives came walking up to my driveway, and they told me my son passed away from myocarditis, a heart attack. And I tried to understand, why would detectives come and tell me that when a doctor should have told me? And then
did you find out why they came?
No, they just said they were investigating why a teenage boy passed away. And for something told me to get his medical records of that night. They didn't want to give them to me.
Really?
And I said, well, I'm going to get in contact with my attorney. And they said, we'll come tomorrow and we'll give them to you. It was a total of 61 pages. And I'm actually missing 7. I don't know what happened to those. I don't know where they went to. And like I said, I fought so long with the local judge that signed his autopsy report and the coroner's office. Nobody wanted to give me his autopsy report. And I threatened them also. I said, well, I'm going to get my attorney. He'll get it from you. I don't fight with you. And then that automatically said, oh, we have it here. Yeah, now you found it. Now that I threatened with an attorney. So they were trying to keep it under wraps or sweep it away. That doctor in charge of the hospitals here, Ivory Hecker interviewed him. I have the video where he kept saying no teenage boy died that day, and she showed him everything. He said, well, he wasn't vaccinated at any of my hospitals. She showed him the card, and then he turned around and said, well, no child died that day. And then he said, oh, well, if that's the same child, he was obese. And I started thinking, well, you just said no one passed away that day. Now you're saying my son's obese. She showed him a picture of my boy, and he goes, oh, well, he looks like a normal 16-year-old boy. So he kept backstepping with everything he said. And he even contacted me and told me I was spreading misinformation. I said, no, I'm not. I said, I'm going by everything you said in that interview. And if you need, I'll send you a copy of it. And I had to block him on everything because he was trying to get me to meet him, and something told me no, it's not right because I felt like he probably set me up. And I was threatening his life or something, so I just figured it'd be better I didn't even talk to him at all.
And you really haven't stopped. One of our audience has commented, this guy hasn't stopped since the death of his son. He must feel so worn down. Do you feel worn down? What keeps? I know your new family keeps you going, but it must be hard. Must be very hard.
Well, it's not the same because this is like me and you right now. We're talking, and it's not the same because I don't have anybody here physically to be around, one-on-one contact or anything like that. There's several times I go visit my son's plot several times a week, and while I'm sitting out there, I'll even ask God. I tell him I'm tired, and I want to go home.
Mm-hmm.
But I figured, the answer is no. We can't decide anything. It's all under God's hands. I know I'm here. He knew everything that was going to happen. And I figured God wants me here to fight for him. People don't understand that. They keep saying we got to pray for a miracle. No, we need to become that miracle. I mean, we're here to serve him. He's not here to serve us. I think that's the only reason I'm still here.
But you've done so much amazing work since Ernesto's death, and you have spread the word basically, not only about God but about these vaccines, these terrible, well, they shouldn't even be called vaccines. You must have the anger must be something else. Does that drive you, do you think, or does that get in the way?
No, not so much anger. I'm looking for, like I said, a lot of people are saying these people need to hang. They need to do. I don't wish death on them. I want them to be convicted. I want them to be stripped of all their finances, all the money they've profited off the injuries and death that actually needs to go to the vaccine injured. I even mentioned it in DC. I had a senator call me directly on my personal phone and asked if he could meet with me, Senator Cornyn from here in Texas. And I told him, you know what? I only have one question for everyone here in DC. I want to know, how much did everyone profit off my son dying? How much was my son's death worth to everybody here in DC? And, he couldn't respond to that. I mean, because somebody did profit off all these deaths and injuries. And like I said, I know vaccine injured, living in cars, not knowing if I should buy a little bit of groceries to make it through the day or buy my medication. And that's what really upsets me. That's what gets me mad, because I receive phone calls and text messages all day long, every day, from all over the world asking for help. And like I said, I'm just a regular person. I have I work every day, regular hours. I don't have the money to help everyone. I can't change laws. I can't make any big decisions that will affect the world, which I wish I could. I wish I could stop all this stuff. I'm getting tired of all the injuries and death. I got a message the other day of a 2-year-old that passed away that got vaccinated for daycare. I mean, this is getting terrible. It's getting terrible.
Ernest, you say that you can't change the world, you can't change the laws, but you are certainly making a big difference. And we're on the other side of the world listening to you now, and thousands of people are going to see this interview over the weekend and the coming weeks. And people are listening, and people are sending you support and love from all over the world. So don't think for a minute you're not making a difference, because you really, really are. You've got the Life Funder. It's still open, it's still collecting, and you've also got your website, which I think we just popped up on the screen so people can see what you're doing there and hopefully donate. But Ernest, can I just say thank you very much for coming on the show and for telling your story. So that's absolutely heartbreaking, and I send you lots of love, and I hope to speak to you again soon.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ernest. Thank you. Thank you to Ernest Ramirez. Absolutely heartbreaking story about his son. And if you can help in any way, have a look at the website, which is that's the Life Funder there, which is a crowdfunder, and also juniorsguardianvoice.com is the website. And my next guest, I've had her on before, and here she